We should just keep it going. It has this jazz feel.
Yeah.
And your music has influences of R&B, has some
African sound.
of course, like world music.
Yeah,
It's a bit of Caribbean here, a bit of
Yeah. It has a bit of everything actually.
yeah.
You can,
But
Yeah, Karen, sorry.
yeah, but this Governor B introduction right here.
we never experienced it.
We never experienced it. So I'm wondering, are there some other genres that you that you actually love listening to that you haven't expressed? Like maybe a rap track from when you are coming through. Think about that.
Well, those who know me and grew up with me knew hip hop was always my thing. And then that morphed into what was known as garage.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that was my thing. That was, I mean, growing up, that was my thing. But with River Songs, it was a definite move to make the kind of music we did. Because we wanted something for the market that had something of a Hosanna integrity feel about it. So even though that wasn't the sort of stuff that I would make day in, day out, I knew that was the sort of stuff I grew up with. I knew that was the sort of stuff most of the church that I served would warm to. So when we were writing, Eddie Martin, who's my best friend and co-writer, Eddie Kwesi Yako Martin, he works under the name Kwesi Jones. So he's done like Neo, Chris Brown, Fantasia. When we were writing, we would always write bearing that in mind. So we'd write a lot of big choruses so that the church can sing along.
Jump in it.
But occasionally you get leakage. So for me, hip hop definitely was always a big thing for me. I wasn't so much of a jazz head. I wasn't hip hop, pop music was a big thing for me. Yeah. So the reason you get a lot of the jazz element in Ikoile is I worked with a genius producer. Actually, the album was 90% recorded in Ghana. But I worked with a genius producer called Kwame Yeboah. Kwame is by far one of the most talented of his generation, and everyone knows that in the UK. He all of Craig Davis stuff, Kwame does. But he's a jazz head, and as we were exploring, and as a producer, he made it happen. But for me, it's I guess as you do your journey, and sometimes you feel more comfortable about certain things, and so you just let it out. So I felt a little more comfortable. So a lot of Ikoile came out. I felt a little more comfortable, and so Governor B happened. Governor B is like a baby brother of mine, known him for ages. He works with me at Premier.
Yeah.
That's not my phone. Okay, it's live radio, baby. so when I thought I wanted to do the song, like I said, 7 years, the River Songs guy was like, no, we don't like it. No. Oh my goodness, he just, forgive me, I digress. He just hit me. I've been looking at you thinking, who does this man remind me of? Something just happened right now. Something just happened right now. La Sisi, I found your twin brother.
No.
Something just happened right now.
That again. Thinking about it again. Maybe.
Sorry. If you're listening in China or in Edinburgh, by the way, it's just there's a gentleman called La Sisi. Go and look for him on Instagram. He's one of the most hilarious characters. So I just found his brother in the studio. But let me concentrate and focus.
Oh boy.
Okay, so as you do the journey, you get more comfortable and you reveal a bit more. So for me, on this particular project, the project is a season of duets. And so I went back, and this song Emmanuel. Actually, originally the song was called Emmanuel.
Okay.
And I thought, man, so many songs called Emmanuel.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to do my Nigerian thing.
Smart.
I bought
Yeah.
Alade, wura.
Yeah.
Like it or lump it. So yeah.
But they're not the same meaning.
No, it's not. So it's Alade, wura, and then in bracket I put Emmanuel.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's for me, it was a moment of feeling comfortable with the fact that, okay, my guys didn't like the song for 7 years. Now I don't care. I'm going to release it. and the reality is, and people probably won't say this in the gospel or Christian world, you constantly have to almost rebrand them and move things forward.
Yeah.
Not just to stay relevant, but it depends on who your audience is. There's a question I usually ask people, not just in music, but even in broadcasting: who's your audience and where's their attention at? And so for me, one of the reasons I took the decision to do this track, I mean, not all of the album is like that,
right.
But all the album will be duets with different people.
Okay, now that you're speaking about river songs and what you felt about this at the time, now is there a difference between Muyiwa and river songs?
I suppose it's one and the same. River Song is just the family. So
are there songs that are done only by Muyiwa? Like this is a Muyiwa thing?
I think not quite. I mean, everything.
So every time we see Muyiwa, it's Muyiwa river song.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just whether they're there in person or not. Like I was at Davis Christian Center by myself, but actually River Songs were there with me because I always say to them, "You guys, you treat me how you want. I got you on CD."
But how about in recording? They always record with you?
Absolutely.
All the tracks you do have river songs on it?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay,
in one shape or another.
Oh, okay.
In one shape or another.
Okay. That works. That works. All right. So now that we have this tune out after 3 years, and by the way, I'm not kidding you when I say I thought it was just a year or two away.
No, it's 3 years, and I tell you why I know it's 3 years, because the reason it took so long was because it was a financial thing for me. Because, like I said, I knew Ekoile was going to be a commercial disaster, but I didn't really mind, and I knew really if I wanted to keep making some money, all I needed to do was record another God of Miracles or another Emmanuel, which I recorded years ago. But as you do. And then what happened was, recorded the album. I had no intention for a live DVD. So a gentleman, I went to a church, and this gentleman comes along. He buys about 200 CDs. That's something in any country. One person coming along, I was like, whoa. Whoa. Then he says to me, do you have a DVD for that? I'm like, no, I don't. He says, then he expresses his thoughts that God has challenged him to support us to do a DVD. Cool. I'm ready.
I'm up for it.
Why not?
So he says, how much is it going to cost? I gave him the cost. He said, fine, let's get going. So because of the nature of what I do, and I've been in it for a moment, I was able to make things happen. So I called the venue, booked it without having to pay, all these things. We're going. 2 weeks to the event, it becomes clear that this brother wasn't going to come through. For legitimate reasons, I have to add. That's according to what he's told me. So I'm left with a £47,000 hole.
Whoa.
Yeah. So now,
and
the
2 weeks.
The reason I didn't go to it is because I know what it costs. Hammersmith Apollo. The history of River Song. Restoration, where we did Our God Is Good, our first foray, that cost us. This was like almost 15 years ago. That's £7,000. That was nothing. The next time we went to £30,000. The next one after that, which is where we get hey and here and all that. That was the best part of £60,000.
Wow.
The next one, which was the O2. The O2 was £40,000. That's the first time UK Gospel would sell out the O2. The next one, Hammersmith Apollo. The first time UK Gospel will sell out Hammersmith Apollo, 5,000 people. That was £83,000. So I know what these things cost, which is why I didn't touch it, because I don't have the money.
Let me respect myself.
And I'm thinking, Sister Lola, I haven't bought her any curtains in how many years. All I'm doing is making music. So let me just mind myself. So when this gentleman comes along, I think, yep, we're gonna do it. But then I'm left with a 47 grand hole. And I got children in school with school fees to pay, So then, and that just hit me. And with UK gospel, and I think it's the same with Nigerian gospel artists, because you're self-financed, you're always on the edge. So it takes very little turbulence to mess up your world, So my pocket was messed up for a good couple of years because I was trying to rejig things, So I thought, you know what? Let's just be still and know that He's God.
It's 3 years, thank you.
I mean,
that was, you can't forget. You can't forget the duration. Yeah, it's got to be 3 years.
Wow. So how did you get out of it?
You just work, man. You just work. You just graft. You work. You pay Peter, and then you go out and work for Paul, pay Silas. And I was real fortunate in that because of my journey, I had good credit with people. Right. So for example, and I always give big shout out to culturally with the church culture we have, I'll call him one of my sons. His name is Shola. Shola is one of the heads of sound at Hillsongs in the UK, but he's my sound guy. He brought in all our production for Ekwele and had a bill of about 12 grand. And I couldn't pay him. I could have paid him, but it would have been a lot of stress. And Shola said to me, don't worry, just relax. Do everything else. And it was because of people like that was able to so all we did, we'll get on the road, people pay, people bless, and then Turning Point would pay, Premier would pay. So once Sister Lola was happy and Chibueze and Chinomso's fees were paid, clothes on their back, what's left? Okay, let's settle this, let's settle that. And that's what people don't appreciate, because they think they make assumptions about. If I tell you what my economy looks like, it's a scary thing, the amounts of money you because Hammersmith Apollo, my musicians and singers cost me £15,000. Wow. Straight. And these are my sons and my daughters, but
man,
they have bills to pay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna say, oh, the Lord bless you. Just be doing. He'll be cursing you behind you. So my economy is such that it requires a lot of feeding. But we thank God that we're here. We're still here. And it's a long journey, and you could easily join the train of those who also prophesy. I see, apart from you looking like Lasisi, your number, the last 3 digits of your number is now there's some who are legitimate, some who are just charlatans, and they just use it as a fundraising tactic. And I've been around long enough to be able to do that and raise money. I remember once there's one of the worship leaders, young worship leader, he's very well celebrated. He's been here to this country a number of times. And I remember him saying to another young worship leader, he said, right, this is how things work now. You lead worship, get people into a high place, receive some words of knowledge, raise an offering, but you've already agreed with the pastor, and this is real. This happens in church. You already agreed with the pastor what the cut will be. And you raise it. If you raise 100 people, £100, especially if you go areas of immigration, He's telling this guy. So this guy came to me and says, Uncle Muyiwa, he says, I said, why are you even asking me the question?
You know my stand already, don't
exactly.
you?
Why are you asking me the question? But there are people who that's what they do.
Yeah.
And for them, but that's cool. But not where I come from. So for me, it didn't have to take 3 years. I could have cut some corners, but I wouldn't be happy with myself. There wouldn't be integrity, and there wouldn't be shalom, because one of the things about shalom, when you say nothing broken, nothing missing, it's not just external. It's the things that you do yourself that precipitate this thing. And it's fascinating because it's also physiological, because over time they've shown in research that when you spend time lying, it builds up some negative chemicals. Forgetting the word, the name of it, which is stuff that can cause cancer if you keep, and for some of our guys, no, that's what you're doing. You're just giving yourself over to, and then we'll say the enemy has done this. No, the enemy didn't do this. You're lying.
Did it to you,
because you want some money,
So now talking about, because that also like ties up to what you shared about sacrifice earlier on. For those, and we're gonna wrap up with this because the hour is almost done. Imagine.
Oh man, sorry man, talking to Muyiwa.
In terms of sacrifice, we have a lot of people who are not ready to make that sacrifice.
Yeah,
they are not ready to invest what is required to give them the success they desire, and they just want to like cut corners. They just want to look for shortcuts. They just want like a fast way out of it.
Yeah,
so what? And this applies to musicians, applies to media guys, applies to the guy who's at the office right now listening to the show. Applies to the father somewhere, the mother somewhere, the young man. Applies to virtually everybody. So with your experience and all of that, what would you like to share to that person about the value of sacrifice, the value of hard work, the value of
remembering where you're coming from?
Integrity, yeah.
Now, one of the guiding principles in my home, we have a number of them. One of them is rule number 6. And rule number 6 is don't take yourself so seriously. You're not that important. But there's another one, which is from the scriptures. Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that he would reap if he faints not. And that wasn't just something I discovered myself. It's interesting you mentioning remembering who you were, because I remember. And that helped me to remember that my father, Muyiwa Olanrewaju, his family members were very high-positioned politicians and people in the justice system. Justice Babalakin was his brother. And as a matter of fact, the Babalakins were actually Olanrewajus, and the name was changed when my grandfather died. And then there was a great kingmaker in is it the southern hemisphere of politics? Akintola is his name, which was my father's uncle, and I remember being told when I was younger that they'd said many times that my father should come into politics, that he'll do very well. There's money to be made. And I remember my father. They said my father used to always say that I don't want to build anything with stolen goods, that when I'm not there will burn down for my children. Something of that passed through to me. And it's easy for people to look on Instagram. And by the way, I do hope if you're listening, you can follow me on Instagram. All I have to say is what you see there may not excite you like it might do some people, because I won't show you a Rolex and I won't show you a Louboutin. But it's easy for people to look at things like that and want that. But you don't know what the person is dealing with behind that. You look at their Instagram stories, you look at their Twitter feed and Facebook feed, and we're all just putting our best face forward. Right. You don't know the reality. You don't know which debtors at the door banging. Right. So or
the debtors even in the DM.
So for a lot of people, it's the idea of deferred gratification is it's something foreign. But if you talk to anybody who's achieved and sustained it, they will tell you about a time of sacrifice, and I think it's worth it, because say if I could speak specifically about gospel artists, a lot of them they'll look at like a Kirk, or look at a Marvin. There was a year, I tell you what, there were people who were killing themselves to be next to Kurt Carr. They would have given their right hand to be Kurt Carr. They didn't realize around about the same time, Kurt Carr was having the most horrible time of his life. Kurt Carr was at a conference. We were sitting down, and it was him and a few other American artists. Kurt Carr started to cry because he said he wasn't making any money. He was being ripped off. Now at this time, Kurt Carr, we lift our hands in the sand.
Was at its peak.
Everybody in the UK and Nigeria would have given their right hand to be Kurt Carr, but they didn't realize there was fire on the mountain. And you don't know what debts people have. You don't know what burdens people have. So don't try and be like them. But make sure your foundation. I mean, we could talk Bible all day, but it's just at the end of the day, if what you're about to do means your heart will be pounding, you'll be looking at people, dodging their phone calls. You know, that's not shalom. You're not allowing the shalom of God to be. And you know, they'll say, oh, it's easy for you, Muyiwa. You know, you travel first class around the world. You're on TV, 70 million people. You but it wasn't always like that. And I'm grateful for where I am, but even myself, I'm thinking, you know, I want me a PJ, you know what I mean? You know, so you don't want to hustle up a ladder and get to the top and realize it's the wrong building. You know, just chill, and if God is God, then let Him do it. If He's not, then you know,
you probably don't even need it.
Yeah, leave it alone. You know, if this God you serve is for real, and you say He's almighty and could do all things, let Him do it. And if He can't do it, then don't serve Him. Go do something else. Free yourself. At least go and sin, and when you're being punished, you know why you're being punished. Don't kill yourself with this Jesus thing, and you're interfering with it, and at the end you're getting the wrong results, and you're blaming God. God, why? You know, so do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that he would reap, if he faints not. The writer says.
Wow, great. Okay, so just before we, let you go, and
right now.
Hey, you won't hear the last of it.
I would like for us to look at the Nigerian gospel, industry. I know you have some level of information and knowledge about it. And I would like for us to look at it vis-a-vis what happens in the UK and across the world. What ways do you think that we can make it better?
I think ownership is everything. I mean, there's a lot we can discuss about it. I remember a few years back, I joined hands with my brother Wale Adenuga, and we did
understanding the business or something.
It was the business,
understanding talent. Yeah.
So anyhow, I brought in with me one of the heads of Integrity Music UK, and then one of my old friends who was like one of the senior managers from Sony BMG. So she was on that broke Usher and people like that, just to let people know information. And at the bottom of it, at the root of it, part of the thing for me was to let people know that, listen, the challenges you have in Nigeria are no different from the challenges they have in the UK, no different from what artists are complaining about in the USA. But the difference is, Nigeria, we have the industry is about numbers, period. It's about numbers, and yes, it's about the Lord Jesus. If we're looking at the spiritual side of it, but it's about numbers. That's why the Americans are coming here. The Americans are making here money they can't make over there in their own country, and we happily give it to them. So Nigerian artists might be busy complaining, why do pastors pay Americans and they don't pay us? But you don't realize it's not just you. There is a thread right now on Facebook from a UK artist who said, why do UK pastors pay American artists more than they pay UK artists? And someone threw in there, well, they pay Nigerian artists more.
Whoa!
And the thread is on fire right now. So what it is we need to recognize, right? One, it's a market, and it's okay. You go into Holy Ghost Congress. Just don't kid yourself. Remind yourself when you're getting there. That's Daddy Gio's crowd. If you got to Campground's gate and you fainted and you died, they will mourn for you, but Congress will carry on, right? If you go to Experience, that's Paul Adefrasin's crowd. Don't kid yourself. Oh, I played for 500,000 people. Those 500,000, can you call them and they'll turn up?
By yourself, just
exactly. So it's when you see glimpses of things like Bolaji Sachs putting on a concert by himself, or for other people. I mean, I could speak intelligently about my baby brother, Big B, because he does his Turn It Up in Ibadan, and that's a full-on event. You pay to come in. Until you are getting people to pay to come in, you don't really know your market yet. And that was one of the things we did in the UK with River Songs, because I was like, okay, you know what? let's put on concerts and let people pay. So let's get an idea for who's following us, who's
Right.
and consistently we're able to build from small to a place where we're selling 5,000. Now, you may not see that on social media, but you know, it just goes to tell you, don't for us as Nigerian artists, don't put the cart before the horse. Build your own. And I said this. My brother will tell you. I said this to him for years. I said, don't rush to try and get on the big conferences. That's the pastor's conference. You rather work 10 small churches. Build your own followership. When you go to the church, make sure, I mean, it's great they can follow you on Instagram, it's great they can follow you on Facebook, but if Mark Zuckerberg shuts you down, you lost those people. So see if you can get those people, and one of the things we did, and my brother did it, he did it so well, he got even better than us in London. You get people to text you. So instead of people writing their names on paper at the registration, okay, I've got this basket, 2,000 or 10,000 naira worth of goods. You can have it for free, but you have to text your name, your email address, text it right now, and people do that. Whoosh, you know, and already you got a catalog of people that you can go to immediately as you want. Now with so with Praiseworld Radio, last I heard, you probably had close to 300,000, if not beyond that, people who you can reach immediately. Yeah, that's the trick. So you as an artist, you do that. You build your own following, right? So that you know, if I call, these are people who are going to come. Yeah. So that when you then are asked to come to Acme, they know that when you're coming, you're bringing a tribe with you. Yeah. And then
your own tribe.
Exactly. And even if they don't call, then you say, fine. Me, I'll do my own concerts.
I'll call them for myself.
I'll sell table. And you know, and you have to do that with time and keep building. And aside from that, credibility matters, integrity matters. So we all are flawed. We all have one moral issue or another. But make sure it's not a lifestyle so that it punctures your brand. Because if you're doing this Jesus thing and then they find out that, Minister Brian has been found on top of Sikira before he went to minister, and then they found it wasn't just Sikira, it was Peju and all of Fela's old girls were locked up with him. You know, afterward people will be like, we can't take him serious. So there's that element of it. So all I would say is, first, there is nothing that you're going through that they're not going through in London. So don't think you're going to leave Nigeria and it'll be all right in London, because you're coming to the same hot pot. Or you go to the States and you're going to the same hot pot. It's the same thing. You have to start from scratch, build your market. But I'll suggest, please don't get confused because you're going to a big church. That's not your crowd. When you call and they turn up, that's your crowd. When you're going to a big church, you have an opportunity to borrow their crowd. But by the time you leave, make sure you take that crowd with you in real time, so that you're not having to go back to pastor misses to get access to that their crowd audience. Again. You know?
Wow,
I could talk some more, man.
Oh boy,
that question has never been answered in that way.
I mean, this is gold.
Amazing. It's all about the numbers, people. So you find yourself in this circle. Build your numbers. Stop crying that church didn't invite you.
Yeah, and you know, sorry guys, I know we run out of time, but there's this thing I talk about. It's currency. Yeah. Currency, because a lot of people think about, when we speak about stuff, I don't have any money, but you've got currency, and people will talk about, they'll talk about two stuff, but there's 7 levels of currency. Okay. Relationship is just one of them. Relationship is the next thing people will usually go to. So they'll come to Praiseworld. Oh, guys, help me. We have a relationship now. No, we don't. Because we only hear from you because you have an event. Right. However, if before your event you're cognizant of the fact that I've got a long journey to do, I don't have money, let me call Praiseworld. Guys, is there anything that I can do? You know, and begin to invest in that relationship. Right. You know, any way I can be of use, not just because you want to get something out, but you're aiding somebody else, and that allows you someone, because apart from that relationship, also what that opens you up to is Praiseworld Radio might know that Muyiwa is in town, right. And because of conversations we're having, they know that Muyiwa is looking for an opportunity for an artist that might want to do this, and they think There's Tola T, the guy that always comes up and serves us. Would rather get him than call in Osinachi. So let's get, and that's another level of currency. That intel and first mention, the first clue that people don't have. So all I'm saying is, please, it's not just money. Naira is good, and sterling will solve a problem. Dollars will solve a problem. But beyond that, and then you do all that, and then you do your CD, and then you start abusing everyone. No one's supporting. Who asked you to do the CD in the first place? You said God told you to do it. Go back to God and complain to him. Don't now hold us all ransom that no one's buying your CD. And if they're not buying your CD, think, what can I do with it? Let me be able. Go to Praiseworld Radio, guys. I've got 10 copies. You can do competition. That's advertising you would not get.
Right.
Anyhow, let me stop.
I thought he was going to quickly run through the seven currencies.
No, I'm just saving that. You lot in the radio, that's called a tease. So hopefully you let me come back and we could go through the other 7.
Oh boy, getting to hear all this for free is quite an amazing resource. Thank you, and thank you again for being such a blessing to us this morning.
Thank you.
Of course, we're going to wrap it up with this song.